Assalamu alaikum, my dear students. This is Miss Aisha Anwar from Biotic Academy, and today we will begin our next chapter from the syllabus of O Levels Biology 5090. And today I'm going to teach you something about classification, the importance of classification, and how classification helps us to understand about the features of different living organisms existing on this planet Earth. Basically, it's a detailed topic, and there are so many details about plants and animals and how the classification system basically linked these organisms with each other to a little extent. So, first of all, with the beginning of this chapter classification, you should know what is about the importance of classification. Why we need to classify organism. Basically, in the beginning of this research field, or in the beginning of the era when the people start thinking about the life surrounding them and the type of organism which were present, the surrounding of the living organism. So initially, scientists or the people or researchers or philosophers of that era, they basically start dividing the organisms into two groups. That is, the first group was plant and the second group was animal. And why they divided these all type of organisms into two basic categories? Because of the dissimilarity between these two groups. Means plants are totally different in structure and texture as compared to the animals. So people in the beginning of this field of research, they divided all the organisms existing on this planet Earth into two broad groups, that is plant and animal. But gradually, with the passage of time, people start thinking over about the detailed structure or the internal structure of these two type of organisms. Then they came to know that there are further things which are needed to be kept in consideration before dividing the organism into two broad groups, that is plant and animals only. Later on, then they started dividing the organism on the basis of the similarities and dissimilarities existing among the organism, and then finally now we are dividing organisms into 5 broad groups. So why it is important, why it was needed, and how it is helping us. Basically, the classification of organisms fall into the category of science that is called as taxonomy. Taxonomy is the field of science where we basically divided these organisms on the basis of differences and similarity into different groups, which make us easy to study about them, to study the relationship between the different type of organisms. So basically, in order to be more specific in our field of research, we need to classify the different variety of organisms into groups. Now, why it is important, again question arises, why we need to divide them, why we need to understand them. As you know that these plants and animals are interlinked with each other. They are making, or they are basically influencing each other in a particular habitat. They are making a specific type of ecology or a specific type of environment, either pond ecosystem or either any forest environment, any biography. We are familiar that a specific type of habitat will have a specific type of organism. Like if we have a desert environment, desert habitat, then we won't expect a neem tree to be there in the desert. We will expect a cactus plant to be there because of the relationship of cactus plant with that particular habitat. So these plants and these animals are basically present according to the specific environment we are searching in, and they are basically affecting each other. And in order to understand this thing, we need to classify these billion and trillions of different type of discovered organisms into groups. Now, if we talk about the differentiation and if we talk about the classification of these organisms, so we can see that the scientists have divided these organisms into 5 basic groups. you can say, and these are basically prokaryotes, protoctist, fungi, plantae, and animalia. These are basically 5 kingdom classification, and the organism which were previously divided into the 2 groups, only plants and animals, are now further divided into 5 main categories depending on the similarities and differences existing among them. Now this is the more specific classification and is much more related to guide us towards the detail of a specific type of organism. So first of all, we will begin with this most primitive type of kingdom, that is kingdom prokaryotes. And in my previous lecture, you have studied about the bacteria. Bacteria, I told you that it's an example of prokaryotes. And what are prokaryotes? They are those type of organisms which are not having any nuclear envelope around their genetic material, means their chromosomes, their DNA is basically floating in the cytoplasm and do not have any nuclear envelope around them. So such type of organisms are basically categorized into this kingdom prokaryotes. So here we can see that we have 2 type of organisms over here, bacteria and cyanobacteria. These bacteria and cyanobacteria are basically organisms which are classifying into these groups, and they may be autotroph or they may be heterotroph. Now what are autotrophs and what are heterotrophs? Autotrophs are those organisms which prepare their own food. And heterotrophs cannot prepare their own food. Okay, now how they prepare their own food? Definitely by the help of a process, photosynthetic. It means that there are many types of bacteria and cyanobacteria which are basically capable enough to perform the process of photosynthesis, and they can prepare their own food. And along with them, there are some type of bacteria and cyanobacteria which are not able to perform their process of photosynthesis and depend on other organisms to get nutrition. And they may be motile or non-motile. What is motile and what is non-motile? Motile means that they may have some locomotory organ, some locomotory structure in their cell, like I told you previously about the flagella present in the bacterial cell, which help them to move from one place to another place, or they may not have any flagella-like structure, so they become non-motile on their own, but along with the water current they move from one place to another place. Now the second kingdom is protoctist and protoctista. It is basically a very interesting kingdom in a way that it contains organisms which are having the features of animal-like and plant-like both. Means the organism may have some features of plant-like and they may have some features of animal-like. Like you can take the example of Clearmedunas. Clearmedunas is basically a water-living unicellular organism, and it is basically example of protoctist, means it has a chloroplast, cup-shaped chloroplast. Along with that, it has a eye spot, means it is having both structure, eye spot and chloroplast in one organism. So this kingdom basically contains such type of organism which are having the features of both animal-like and plant-like. So Clearmedunas is one of the example, and some more are the examples of these type of organisms. Now the third kingdom comes under the heading of fungi. Fungi are basically the organisms which are not able to perform the process of photosynthesis, although they look green in color, but that green color is not the photosynthetic chlorophyll, and they are not capable to perform photosynthesis, and they get their food through absorptive mode of nutrition, means they absorb nutrition from the surface which is having moist or having some salts in it, and they get nutrition through the absorptive mode of nutrition from those surfaces, and they are not motile. and they basically perform extracellular digestion, means they release enzymes from their cells, and then the food, whatever food on which they are growing, they digest that food outside of their cell and then break it down into the simpler form and then get absorbed that food. So they perform extracellular digestion. And normally you must have seen breads which are having a layer of fungi growing over there, or the wall which is wet for some time. It may get a population or colony of the fungi over there. So they basically love to grow in damp shady places, and they get food from there in the form of the salts and water. Now the fourth kingdom is plantae. Kingdom plantae contains all the plants which are performing photosynthetic, and they all are autotroph. As I told you that autotroph are all organisms which are performing the process of photosynthesis, and plants are not motile. They do not move from one place to another place, although they show some movement, like they show their movement towards a particular type of stimulus, like stem move towards the sunlight, above the ground towards the light. That is a type of movement shown by the plant, but that is not considered as a motile or motility. Now, the last kingdom or the largest kingdom is kingdom Animalia, which is containing heterotrophic organisms which are basically maybe motile or non-motile, and they take in food through ingestion through their mouth, and they have a proper digestive system, and they take their food, digest their food by the help of these enzymes. And then in this kingdom you may have further division of vertebrates and invertebrates, and then the features which they share with each other and why they are placed in a particular phylum or the class. So for today, students, I hope you have understood all the points which I have explained today, and I hope that you like my video and you must have understood all the points related to the importance of classification and taxonomy, and how different kingdoms are having particular type of organisms which are having some special features which make them unique to be placed in that particular kingdom. Hope you like my video and you will keep watching Biotic Academy. Till here, this is Miss Aisha Anwar from Biotic Academy. Take care. Good luck.